Okay. Hello, Professor. This is my final milestone video of the first assignment, and I want to walk you through a process of how I studied lighting in Unreal and Unity engine. So I started off looking at a tutorial of the Unity engine of how to light an exterior scene, and I learned how to add basic directional lights, spotlights, plane lights, and etc. into the scene. And then I also learned post-processing volume, which I added uh, tone mapping, bloom, shadows, uh, vignette, and etc. So these overrides helped to create a cinematic feel for the scene. So with or without this effect, it makes a big difference. And then I continued to add on reflection probes, which made a great difference in, for example, water reflection and also those reflection on reflectable surfaces. So with these basic knowledge, I was able to recreate lighting in this scenario. I also added in HDRI skyboxes, as you can see over here, and I figured out how to change how to add fog and some basic elements in the Unity engine. So the final work looks like this. So this is just a basic camera loop of the entire scene that was built in when I downloaded the free asset, but the lighting was changed drastically. I started off with a blank scene, so I deleted all of the light sources, and it was pitch dark, and then I ended up having a scene like this, which I'm pretty happy about. So yeah, that's for this scene. So after learning the knowledge of basic Unity lighting, I went on to uh, light up a scene that I found on my own. So here's the classroom scene that I got, which was not free. So it gave me the kind of the motive to. So I told myself I had to light the scene, or it would be not worth the money. I started off with a basic scene like this, and I also deleted all the lights, which ended up in a dark room. So first of all, I created a noon kind of simulation. I wanted it to simulate the noon time of the day, so I intentionally added the bloom effect on the desks, as you can see, and made the lights into an orangish color. I also added in, so that's the post processing I have right here, and as you can see, it's a big difference. Um, I also added in different lights. So directional lights create kind of like a sun kind of effect. So um, they're really good for casting shadows, hard shadows on the ground. I also learned to cast like different directional lights just to add in depth into the scene, like that, just to add in a little bit of reflection. And also area lights are important. Point lights are important. So I didn't do the entire scene in real time lighting because in this practice I learned to use baked lighting, which only shows after you finished baking. So I also added in two different reflection probes, one on the left, one on the right. Um, and yeah, that's pretty much what I did in this scene. So, and that's uh, the final package that I have. So I didn't just stop here. I went on to learn about. Let me just save that. Learn about creating other like simulating other times of the day. So I tried to simulate the morning kind of feel, and I also learned how to make a bar on the top left hand corner to change from morning to night, and that was a little bit writing in C sharp. Um, so yeah, the morning is basically the same as the noon except for the light the color change. The color of the sunlight is kind of like more it's whiter rather than orange, And for the night scene, it's basically adding more reflection to the windows over here, and adding in more spotlights to the ceiling translucent lights. So yeah, that's what I did in. Oh yeah, one more thing. I learned how to like denoise. So at a lot of times we can see that, especially for baked lighting, there will be like a lot of noise in those places, corners where shadows are present. So if you go into lighting, and in the scene, we can change all denoiser into open image denoise, and they're pretty much the best denoisers that Unity has. So um, yeah, that's how I learned to get rid of the noise. And also I learned how to do ambient occlusion. There are three kinds of ambient occlusion, but I learned how to do two. One is in baked lighting, which is in the default. I believe it is in scene or environment where, oh yeah, ambient occlusion. Oh, that's denoise, I'm sorry. So one is for baked lighting. I gotta check out how to do it. Oh yeah, right over here. So ambient occlusion. If I click that, it just gives us the ambient occlusion. And there's one more thing called screen space ambient occlusion, which I did in real time lighting, which is, I believe, somewhere around here. I have to recall, but yeah, I added screen time ambient occlusion, screen space ambient occlusion in this scene, but I did a normal ambient occlusion in this scene. Yeah, so after using Unreal, using Unity, I hopped into Unreal to do a little bit of research on how to light Unreal scenes, and I found a really useful tool called Lumen, which is a pretty new concept, which it's like infinite bounces, like of reflections, and it also allows like color bleeds of substances, of like materials onto the ground, onto other surfaces. So I believe that this is really good for like real-time lighting. This entire scene is created with Lumen. As you can see, once we start the project, it's gonna start dark, and then it's gonna be rendering in real time. So yeah, I put in, again, I put in directional lights, spotlights, and other lights, etc. Added in post-processing, so some basic lighting stuff. So in conclusion, I think I did learn a lot about lighting in both engines, and they are pretty helpful in. I think they will be pretty helpful in future projects when I have to light a scene and work as a technical artist. This is the basic I need to know. Although I still haven't started creating my own models and scenes, I believe that lighting is also an essential part that I need to know. So yeah, overall, I think the first milestone, the first assignment was a pretty successful one. And thank you for listening.